specifically on this podcast, there is no like real theme. I'm just happy that you're here. So I'm happy to, that you're able to squeeze some time in. So I do appreciate that. But I did want to, talk about, you, how busy you're doing, and you're going to Evo, which is that's awesome. And I'm happy that you're doing it. Is this going to be something normal?
No, I've never been to Evo before. So
Like, are you?
I don't travel to international tournaments ever. So
Are you trying to like? Is this kind of just be for fun? Or are you trying to dip your ink in the competitive scene?
I'm legitimately going to try to do my best.
Okay.
Because like I tell everyone these days, I'm washed up because I am compared to how I used to be. Because I used to be pretty freaking good.
Right.
Like I've beaten some big names in some offline tournaments and a lot of games, but that was then. This is now.
Right.
So I actually like Street Fighter 6 because it's literally like the most important part of my year. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I have a whole war plan. First 2 weeks is just worry about videos. Then I'm gonna have like a whole week dedicated to like who am I taking, because I'm also going to another large Street Fighter tournament right before Evo as well.
Oh,
so I'm gonna find out who's the character, and I have a bunch of parameters in my mind what I'm looking for. One of them is beat Guile, or at least not lose to Guile.
Okay.
Because in the beta I consider Guile the strongest character by a lot. Then do that, and then and there's still gonna be videos every day, but then I'm also gonna grind at least like 2-3 hours every day. Like I literally have a war plan written out.
That's awesome.
And sure, come Evo, I'll probably just went 0-2 like an idiot. but but I am gonna try my best. Like
I'm sure. I'm sure you'll make it pretty far in pools. I mean, if you grind out and practice hard, I'm sure you'll make it.
It's all about because I'm not smart enough to pick top tier. I like my garbage characters. So it's all about how hard I can gimmick people out. I can make that like Koji Cog run with Lily or something like that. That'll be good enough for me. Run everyone remembers, even if they didn't go that far in the end.
So do you plan on? Is it just Street Fighter 6 that you're going to be playing, or do you plan
maybe KOF 2? I'll see where I'm at when the time comes.
Okay.
Because like if I feel like I can only dedicate enough time to KOF or rather Street Fighter and not KOF, then I'll just KOF slide. But
okay.
Yeah, right now Street Fighter is the focus for sure.
Right. And so what's the other tournament?
GOML, GOML, I think is the term, but it's just get on my level.
Okay.
It's one of the largest Smash tournaments, and this year they're actually doing Street Fighter.
Oh, okay.
And it's in Ontario, Canada, which is where I live.
Awesome.
I don't got to grab flights. Like it's still gonna be a very long train ride, but I don't got to get on a plane and stuff. So that's like the week before Evo. I'm gonna go to Toronto for a few days, come back, stay home for like a day or two, then go to Vegas.
Oh, are trains like a normal thing in Canada?
Oh yeah. Like,
okay.
Especially like in Quebec, Southeast Ontario.
Like we kind of have trains in California, but not really anywhere else.
We have one line that starts in Quebec City, Montreal, Ottawa, Kingston, Toronto, and like literally that's like a third of Canada's population on that line. So you hit like every major city on the East Coast.
Oh, okay.
And there's a million stops on the way. It's just one line. You just pop in. Okay, I'm in Brockville. Boop, boop, boop. Go to Toronto this way. Boop, boop, boop. Go to Montreal that way. Like that is actually quite convenient.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. No.
Out west, it's a bigger mess because there's too much land, not enough people. But
yeah. But no, that's awesome. So yeah, I'm glad you're competing because you do so much education, so much news. All the breaks.
And the other reason I'm going to Evo, like first year Street Fighter 6 is going to be special. Oh, like I'm going to do a lot of shaking hands, say hi to people like I've never gotten to meet before. If they got any work for me, if there's any behind the door stuff, I'll definitely take that appointment.
Yeah, for sure.
I won't turn you down because apparently they had that for Project L at Evo Japan. So, if Project L wants to show up at Evo, I'll take your appointment. Sure.
So on that, let's see, when I first started content creating and when I first, the first time I pulled you on here, was specifically about education. We talked a little bit about Project L, and originally that's just, I initially set out to be a Project L content creator and wanted to dive into more fighting games, but my mind has kind of changed on that. And in the way that it's changed is like I kind of had this realization that Project L's not coming out this year. You know, it and a few. So first off, a few things was I was excited about Project L because I was, you know, I'm a season 1 League of Legends player, and the characters are amazing, and to see that the Cannon brothers are leading it. So I was like, I was like, you have every resource. You have some of the best leaders, the guys who pretty much created netcode or rollback netcode, and founders of Evo. So you have everything in place to make up a perfect game. When it changed was when I was like, you know, I started seeing Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, you know, the inevitable Mortal Kombat 12, and
just this year we just gotta wait for the reveal.
Yeah, and we'll get to this in a little bit, but Ed Boon is just my joke was like, he's kind of like a dog on a leash. He's just like, I want to tell you so bad, but I can't. Like, you know, now he's getting a lot cryptic, so you know something's coming, like, you know, fairly soon. But yeah, with Project L, I was just like, it's definitely not coming out this year, and there's so many other games that are going to be coming out, and I'm just, you know, I'm a Street Fighter player, so it's like seeing that Street Fighter 6 and how good it looks and how fun it plays. I'm just so excited about all this other stuff. I mean, like, how do you feel about Project L now as more stuff has come out?
For Project L, I'm still very much looking forward to it. It's now,
and I want to
especially now
take that
that a lot of
away,
things
by
are
the
getting.
way. Like, I am still looking forward to it. It's just there's so much other stuff to look to view right
That's
now.
exactly
But
it, right?
yeah,
So Street Fighter 6 at minimum, which is already titanic in and of itself. Mortal Kombat
Mhm.
12. Tekken's either later this year or early next year. Like some people ask me about the Grand Blue Fantasy Rising, like the super turbo of Grand Blue.
Mhm.
And basically for me, because there's like they just announced that character the other day, but
Mhm.
it doesn't feel real, like because there's so much directly in front of us, and that
Mhm.
just feels further out. That's kind of where I'm at with Project L. Like there was a
Mhm.
little bit of news the other day, so I covered that little bit of news, but
Mhm.
it's just out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, and
When its head pops up, I'll be there for it,
mhm.
but that's like at this point, I'm thinking it's like 2025 or something.
Mhm.
So I just got to worry about like the immediate stuff. Because it's April 4th
Yeah,
now, so that means Street Fighter 6 is out in like less than 2 months. It's June 2nd.
I just don't want to think about that because I'm just like, it's out in two
That's all I
months.
can think about.
I know it's out in less than 2 months now, so it's just like,
Mm.
it's like you can't, you know, yeah, it's hard to be patient at this point with that game. And I've never been more hyped for a game, I'll be honest. Like, I'm so hyped for Street Fighter 6. But the reason I didn't cover that, I didn't make a video on that, and I have made videos on the previous news, is because one, you covered it and you covered it really well. Another content creator named a Bruiser Minion covered it very well as well, as well. And he did a great job with that video too. So I was just like, man, everybody's covered. I don't even want to cover it. And the reason why I don't
And
want
you can't do that. You got to just do your thing.
no, I understand that, but it's just like, I didn't lose interest at this point, but I almost feel like they have been releasing content just enough to keep me interested, but too early on in order for me to actually be able to keep looking forward to it. Like, do you feel like they're giving us information like at right timing and everything?
Well,
Consider.
right now, like
Mhm.
right now, it's the Tekken 8 show. Like last 2 weeks.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of, and like once again for a game that might not even launch this year, like they're kind of stealing the spotlight.
Hmm.
Um, for me, like whenever they put out stuff, like from like I have a skewed perspective from like a fan and as like a worker, right?
Hmm.
It's like as a worker, whenever they put out stuff, that means there's work for me to do, like get
Yeah.
shoveling the hay, right?
Yeah.
But as a fan, I
Hmm.
hope they keep their weekly Tuesday thing. They should be doing something at least once a week, even if it's small. I
Hmm.
guess we'll find out. It's Tuesday now, my time. So
We're
7
talking.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time
We're talking
is
about
when they've been
Tekken.
doing stuff last few weeks.
Oh, Street Fighter. They've been.
Yeah, for Street
Yeah,
Fighter.
Street Fighter. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
hope they do that. Tekken,
Mm-hmm.
after Evo Japan, they just did 2 trailers in a day,
Mm-hmm.
and then they did the Ling trailer, like, 2 days before that.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if it truly is a next year game, I gotta assume they go on break for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like, they built up, they did the thing, okay, and then fell down. As otherwise, unless they're launching with, like, 40 plus characters and they're gonna pull a King of Fighters and do a trailer every week.
Mm, nah, I think it's probably
I don't actually
eh,
know, so
yeah.
but, I don't know, that's where it is, but for the Street Fighter, like, actually now 2 months in, like, or rather 2 months left,
Mm-hmm.
and as someone I have a marketing degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't do much with it, but I have one. Uh, like, it is,
Fun
to
fact:
me, in their
Rooflemonger
best
has a degree in marketing. I did not know
yeah,
that. Yeah.
I got a bachelor's of education, and then I
Mm-hmm.
went on to work at a convenience store, so, uh,
I mean,
but,
I studied history and everything, so it's like I'm clearly not using it. So
yeah,
mhm.
that's life. You spend all
Yeah.
this money in college and not do whatever you plan to do, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
in the lead up, we're getting very close. They should
Hmm.
be doing a content drop every week. They
Hmm.
really should.
Hmm.
Like, it is in their own vested interest to do so, and, like, when we're, like, 1 month in, then, like, just dump tons of single player stuff. Like, the 'cause we
Yeah.
haven't seen World Tour mode, anything new in, like, 6 months.
Yeah. They actually showed some stuff last time, didn't they? Like just a
Yeah,
couple
and,
days
like,
ago.
technically, right before Evo Japan, they showed, like, 10 seconds of new footage, but it's not.
Yeah, it wasn't much, and that's the one thing I was like kind of excited about. That first off, is it Nakayama? Is that his name?
Takayuki Nakayama, yeah.
Nakayama and Matsumoto, and they the philosophy behind Street Fighter 6 is really what pulled me to it, because I know Street Fighter 5 had one of a horrible launch, and it was all about esports. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that's just where we're at right now, is with esports, and being a competitive person as I am. That's exciting for me. I actually love watching competitive fighting games, and not much of an single player. But the fact that they're like, we want to make it as fun as it was with Street Fighter 2, when you played with your friends and had fun with like single. Now, there wasn't really a single player mode back then, but they're making it
No,
for
they're like, it was a different time, right?
right. Yeah, exactly. But just the fact that they're just like, we're trying to make it fun again, and I was just like, dude, bravo, good for you. That's what we need right now. That's
Yeah, like,
exactly what we need.
Conquest mode in Mortal Kombat Deception is one of my favorite modes of all time,
Oh yeah,
and
easily.
World Tour mode is Conquest 2,
Hmm.
like, basically.
Yeah.
Instead of Jinko, you're making your own dude,
Mhm.
but basically all the other parameters apply.
Yeah. No, and I like that you can go around Metro City and
Yeah.
meet all
And allegedly, we're supposed to go around the world. That's what I'm saying. Like, they haven't shown any of that off.
oh, like
Like,
I thought
Metro
it was
City is supposed
just
to be
Metro
one hub
City.
of yeah, it's supposed to be one hub of many.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that fun fact, I did not know that at all.
And
So
then the early interviews, and then, like,
mhm.
so once again, you haven't seen anything about it, so
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, doing what you do, a lot more than a lot of us do. So yeah, it's like, that's good to know. I did not know that. So yeah, that makes me happier, the fact that they're doing that, and the fact that they're introducing like dynamic and dynamic controls and modern controls, and making it easier for the new player or the casual player that just wants to play. So
yeah.
no, I'm glad that it makes me really happy that they're doing stuff like that.
It's
Yeah,
it's pretty much hitting on all cylinders, so
yeah, and that's
need
great.
more
And
info drip, that's it.
mhm.
And open beta test.
And so yeah, I know a lot of people. I don't know how I feel if there was an open. I mean, I'd be okay if there was an open beta test, but at this point, it's like we're less than 2 months away. I, I, I'm going to be playing it for like all day, every day for the next couple months. So
Just for,
yeah.
like, once again, my perspective, marketing guy,
Hmm.
only in their best interest. They only win if they do it.
If they do an open
Just
beta, yeah.
and I know it'll make people mad, but this is a smart decision to do. Just watch out on that PC version. Like, maybe you do console only or something, because
Hmm.
you open beta and you have all the characters,
Hmm.
and then we do what we happened last time with the crack.
Hmm.
And like, the only thing you could say is, like, the crack players, the only competitive advantage they don't have is
Hmm.
they're missing half the roster. So they're
Hmm.
just as in the dark on those matchups, right?
Right.
But they don't actually have that much of an edge.
Hmm.
Like, if they're gonna fight Marissa or Lily or whatever.
Hmm.
But if you do it, then they get cracked, and then they're playing that build for a month before launch. Then early tournaments are going to be pretty suspect.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can agree. I can agree with that. Yeah, just giving them
It's like
that.
if you dump 100 hours into Ryu in the open beta or the
Mhm,
closed beta crack,
mhm,
but then you fight Honda. You don't know how the Honda fight goes. Like, there's no way for you to have learned it. You got to
mhm.
learn it live fire now. So,
Yeah, no, I can agree. I can agree with that one. Um, Speaking of like the esports are going to Evo and everything, were you pretty excited to find out that when Capcom announced the $2 million prize pool?
it's very interesting.
Hmm?
Like the biggest beforehand was the Brawlhalla one,
Mm-hmm.
which is like half the size of that.
Okay.
And then when the Brawlhalla one got announced, that was still like the biggest ever by a mile.
Mm-hmm.
So like Brawlhalla like quadrupled what was before, then Capcom came and doubled what Brawlhalla did.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a very big deal.
What was
Also,
Brawlhalla's?
Brawlhalla was like 1.3 million.
Okay. And what was the winner's first prize take home?
That I do not recall because they didn't
Okay.
advertise it quite as like they get a cool million like Capcom said.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it would be significant to be sure, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I
yeah,
saw.
I was just saying that's another thing
Mhm.
too with if you put a beta and it gets cracked, the early tournaments which do count towards Capcom Pro Tour, then
Mhm.
you're adding another layer of suspect if
Yeah, and
people get
then
practice with all the characters a month ahead of time.
mhm. It was I was stoked to see Mena RD win Capcom Cup. I mean, he's not only was he the youngest the first time he won, but now he's the only person to win it twice. And having a Dominican actually take it home, and it just shows like the worldwide impact Street Fighter has. Like on
That's the thing. Street Fighter is the world warrior, right?
it is that
They'll
and
find people
Tekken,
from every
but
country.
yeah, I've said this before too. I'm very proud of like the Middle East, the Saudis and the Pakistanis that they're killing it in Tekken. They're killing it in Street Fighter, and it's definitely like a world uniting thing, and also to like represent your country and everything. So it's really cool to see a Dominican come and take it, and I just really hope that the next one isn't just full of flukes. But I digress.
We'll find out the balance real quick, I think.
Yeah. We'll talk about balance in a bit because I know you're a huge grappler fan. But yeah, 2 million. Really excited about that one. I'm excited
It's
that
going to be a big day for sure.
it is going to be a big day. 1 million take home because Mena RD took home 120,000 that day, and so having a 1 million take home, people are going to be grinding and practicing. It's going to be very competitive. But my question is, do you think that other games are going to follow suit?
A lot of games can't afford to follow suit straight up.
Okay.
Like, it is not on Street Fighter's back that 1 million, well, $2 million payday is happening. That is
Mm-hmm.
thanks to Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 4 Remake,
Mm-hmm.
Resident Evil 2 Remake, Monster Hunter World.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those games are paying for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure Tekken World Tour will try to get an even bigger prize pool yet. But
Yeah, we were
like,
joking,
that's
saying
not
like,
getting matched.
"Oh, $1,001,000 for the
Yeah,
take home."
I just don't think that's getting matched.
No. Okay. Yeah, I always wondered about that. Like, someone who would have a reasonable answer for that one, and that's what I hear constantly is people.
I think they'll get higher across the board, but
Mhm.
they're not matching that anytime soon.
No, and it's a wonderful marketing tactic, by the way. It's like, oh,
I check
yeah,
all the video game news sites when they announced it. It was on every single news site on the gaming world.
oh, 100%. And now everybody, and so it's going to bring in a lot of new players. I think we're going to see a ton of new players as well, because people are, it's kind of one of the biggest reasons why people play League of Legends and Call of Duty and Valorant and all those games, because they're like, oh, I can, I can become a millionaire like playing video games. So people are going to be wanting to play that, and I think that's great. I'm excited.
Like, if you rewound 10 years for me or something before I did the YouTube thing,
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably be like, okay, like, let's see if I can actually get my hand at this too.
Mm-hmm.
Probably wouldn't have gone very far, but like, I would have tried.
Right. I'm sure I'm sure, would you be interested in doing that now? Is that something you would?
For me, my perspective,
Mhm.
YouTube works, it pays my rent. I've been in the unfortunate position in my life to be like in true crippling poverty.
Mhm.
So like, no sob stories here. Don't worry about that. But like, now that I got
Mm.
something that's stable and works, I'm not interested in changing that up to chase attending
Yeah.
every tournament.
No, and that's 100% understandable. Plus, you got a great following. You're a great educator, and a lot of people are like really, really happy about with the content that you make.
Yeah,
So,
I'm still like I'll be there. I'll be cheering people along.
mhm.
But like I attending Capcom Cup, I'm like maybe if they want to pay my way, right? I'll do it. But like,
Right.
otherwise, no, not really. I'll just watch on the
Mhm.
stream and cheer on.
Yeah. But I am glad that you're going to Evo. So it's cool that you get to go out there, have some fun, be competitive. Also on the competitive front, what are your thoughts on the leverless controllers? So like briefly explain that one to people who quite don't.
Which part, like the reason Capcom thing, or
I would like to know why. That is my biggest thing. Like I understand they're trying to regulate it for quote fairness, which I think is I would argue is a noble like mentality to have. But are you doing it the right way is always the thing. It's like
I was like, when,
you're
wait, when was
because you have because because you spent $400 on a Victrix, of course. So
yeah, I spent more than that too because I got a bunch of them now.
oh
But
wow, I got
and I'm
yeah.
still working because I'm getting like some level of customization. Because like for me, when I switch over here, it is for purely health reasons. I don't give a shit.
You said that. I remember that.
I don't give an S about like the cheater aspect of it, if you want to call it that. For me, I want to play for a long time without old crickety Rick wrist here
Right.
hurting. So like that's what
Did
to
all
me
that
that's what these are really good for.
did all that time playing with the stick finally do away with your wrists?
I was dealt a bad hand at birth. Let's put it that way.
Gotcha.
And the stick, like my whole life, has not made it any easier.
Mm-hmm.
So like yeah, but for the the Capcom Cup changes, or I
Mm-hmm.
guess Capcom Pro Tour changes,
Mm-hmm.
like it is on paper like attempting. Like if you read it on paper,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like both directions, left, right, and up, down equal neutral. On paper, that's better. And like
Mm-hmm.
that will nerf Guile, who's looking
Mm-hmm.
to be stronger.
That's really the
Like,
only thing I saw. Like the only thing I could see is a nerfing Guile. That's really the only thing about it that I see taking it away.
and to be perfectly fair,
Uh-huh.
the ability to hold down back forever and get like perfect flash kick and then frame one charge back
Mm-hmm.
is pretty strong.
It is.
Is it wildly strong? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's strong, yes, but like if you're proficient on stick, like it's like maybe at most a 3-frame differential, and usually it's gonna be 1 or 2 frames.
Mm-hmm.
But still, that's an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there's the issue, and I made a video talking about it, is like they're reintroducing things they tried to get rid of in Street Fighter 6.
Mm-hmm.
Is now up down equaling neutral actually brings back the 639 uppercut, which they patched out. Like you cannot do it in Street Fighter 6.
Mm-hmm.
Now the input's going to read it differently, and now it returns. And it's real quick here. 639. This is my hands. So basically, just hit these 3 buttons here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's go that and punch at the same time, and it's literally the fastest human possible input of an uppercut in Street Fighter.
Okay.
Like versus like if you're
like all at the same. So you're literally hitting all at the same time.
You're hitting one frame, next one the next frame, next one the next frame plus the button.
Okay.
So it can be done in 3 frames.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like if you manually do the thing, it's like 5 to 11 frames or whatever, depending on how fast you are.
Yeah.
So it's like literally a strict advantage for like Ryu, Ken, anyone with a proper uppercut.
Mm-hmm.
And now that they made that decision,
Mm-hmm.
the only way to get rid of it is to get rid of the forward, down, forward shortcut.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm getting into the weeds with the particulars like inputs and like, but that's an input you can't get rid of because that shortcut is an input for like pad players and stick players. If you're even the slightest bit sloppy, that means like it still covers you. Like the game understands what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you get rid of that, then there's going to be a lot of people accidentally dropping uppercuts.
Right.
Because they don't understand the game carries you along with it.
Mm-hmm. So, and like I said, I understand that it's like what they're trying. I understand what they're trying to do. I just don't think it's necessarily like the right way to go about it. There's no real way to regulate it. Like, what? Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you like?
There's only one right answer, and it's one that would cause a bigger shitstorm.
Okay.
So the whole left, right equals neutral, up, down equals up or neutral now, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's all handled by the controller before the game ever sees it.
Yeah.
Because people are like, why doesn't the game do this?
Mm-hmm.
And the game does do it to a level.
Mm-hmm.
If you're playing on a pad, right? And you're trying to do cheap guile stuff, and you're like, hold down, hit up on the analog and hit a button,
Mm-hmm.
the game will say no. Like, it sees that and it's like, screw off, you're not doing it.
Okay.
But since on a hitbox, that all happens on the controller end before the game sees it, it can't regulate it.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer is to remove all input cleaning on the hitboxes controllers themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and let the game handle all of it.
Yeah, and I think Hitbox actually put out like a statement about that.
Well, Hitbox, Snapbox, Victrix, now they're all gonna match the Capcom Pro Tour standard.
They are. Okay. I know that Hitbox said they would. I didn't know about Victrix.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's what I'm working on. I said in the video, I don't want this to be a 400-pound brick, right? Like,
right.
But if you do it the proper way and just say, okay, remove all input cleaning and let the game handle it,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of problems with that, because one, that's only for Street Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to patch the whole controller to only work on one game.
Mm-hmm.
And like it would ruin, say, a lot of the tricks in Tekken or whatever, like easy Korean backdashing.
Mm-hmm.
Just a godsend for someone with a bad wrist on the thing, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Like, part of the reason I never played much Tekken 7 is because I'd play for 20 minutes and then I'm like, and I would stop. I physically just couldn't keep going, right?
And the consistency behind it too, because I play with a stick and I play Tekken 7, and it's like if I'm on the right side, I can Korean backdash all day. I have no problems doing that. But if I'm on the left side, which is player one, my Korean backdash is not near as consistent. So if you were to do with a leverless controller, you can be consistent all day long, with that trick.
Literally, it's this easy. Hold the one button.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's all it is.
That's it.
Yep,
that's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
So you do that, and then some games don't. Most games don't have native input cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
So like now, if you have no input cleaning on your controller,
mm-hmm.
then you can pop back into Marvel 3
mm-hmm.
and then do like infinite gamma wave charge with Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can hold left and right at the same time. There's no input cleaning, so you're charging while holding forward.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just do gamma waves walking forward and shit like that. Like,
yeah, there's
the old classic Street Fighter 2 walk forward Sonic Boom Beguile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I like
just a lot of problems.
Yeah, so it's kind of like at that point, I would just leave it alone. Like I almost think it was unnecessary. Like I understand why, but it's just unnecessary. And at that point, I'd just leave it alone.
The biggest thing to say is it's done. I hope they realize
mm-hmm.
the repercussions of certain changes I would
mm-hmm.
make. Because it's not like this style of controller is getting less popular, right?
No, it's getting, I was gonna say it's getting significantly popular.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
There's some people, like, legitimately part of the appeal is, oh man, I'm gonna be so much better. Like, this is gonna let me win games I'd lose otherwise, which isn't really gonna happen.
No, not at all.
Like, it doesn't buy you skill. It buys you a couple shortcuts.
Mm-hmm.
Just handy. Don't get me wrong, but
it definitely helps with execution. Yeah.
And then there is legitimately the health aspect of it, like Tekken 7. Like,
mm-hmm.
I've been doing a lot of grind, like behind the scenes, a lot of grind Tekken 7, like just to remind myself a lot of Tekken stuff when all the Tekken trailers coming up,
mm-hmm.
and I can play for more than 20 minutes because my wrist isn't falling out of my friggin' arm anymore.
Yeah,
like just doing the basic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like for me, that's awesome. Like I can play all day on this thing because it's just
it's
just nonstop.
Yeah, and I remember even asking, like, talking to gosh, was that Nightmare Effect, and I asked him, like, hey, what, like, if you really had to see the difference between like a silver gold player versus like a warlord player, what's the biggest difference you see in those in that skill level? And he's like, honestly, it's just decision making. Like that's the true the true difference between a pro and a casual, or a pro and like a novice, is decision making, and that's something that, sure, execution is a big deal, but that's kind of like when you're at that level, that's just second nature to you. Really what it is what you decide to do in the game, and whether or not you're on a stick, pad, or a leverless controller, it's the decision making that's going to make you win the game.
Is exactly it.
Yeah.
Like, because so many people focus on the combos and all that like stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, someone who dealt with a lot of Dragon Ball Fighters and a lot of the new players who came in with Dragon Ball Fighters,
Mm-hmm.
I always try to point like, hey, who's winning a lot of tournaments right now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's Kazunoko.
Mm-hmm.
And Kazunoko is using the most boring vanilla E&B combos you've ever seen to put you to sleep, but he's winning every tournament.
Mm-hmm.
It's because he's worried about the mental aspect of the game, not the finger puzzle. Is always a joke. Some people call combos finger puzzles. Like, so while you're grinding for your sick combo and you burn 6 hours a day on the one combo, he's just like, no, I just want to actually get better at the game.
Right.
I'd rather do 5% less damage, but win 9 out of 10 every encounters in neutral, which is what will actually win you games in the end.
Yes,
Like, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, even Luffy won with a PlayStation 1 controller. I mean, yeah, it comes down to that.
Yeah, I remember that was USF4 with Rose. He had it like default ass PS1 controller, like.
Yeah, and a lot of the Japanese players didn't like that. They're like, they're calling him out on it. And yeah,
don't buy you skill. Putting the work in will buy you skill. Cool tech toys can help.
Yeah,
but like, if you're buying a hitbox, if you're going to commit all that money, like legit, if you want, like, actually get legitimately here, if you're looking to buy more wins, as it were, invest in a better monitor first before you invest in a hitbox. Like, if you have like a monitor with like a laggy monitor and you get a 1 millisecond display monitor, that'll matter 10 times more than any hitbox.
That's very true. And that was one of the first things, like, when I was upgrading my graphics card in my PC, I also bought a new monitor as well. Of course I did. The main reason was to coincide with the graphics card, because I mean, if you upgrade your graphics card and you don't have a monitor that can support that or coincide with that, it's almost useless. It's like there's no point in upgrading. So of course I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a new monitor. But I did the research on it, and I got like this awesome Asus monitor, but it has a 1 millisecond response, 1 millisecond response, and it runs at 2K, but I put it at 1080p. But it made a noticeable difference.
It does, like,
an extremely noticeable difference.
At a base level.
So yeah, that's very true. So yeah, no, I'm glad that we covered that, and I mean, players
hitboxes are good, but it's only becoming more and more prevalent.
It is.
Like, I like the health benefit. I turned 40 later this year, and ideally, like, I'm probably still doing this at 50. I don't see it like why that would stop.
Yeah.
So a controller type that's easier on the digits, easier on the joints, that's exactly where I need to be.
And I'm bound to get a leverless controller, and I have 3 different pad controllers, because coming from a Mortal Kombat background, I actually go, when Dragon Ball Fighters and Mortal Kombat I play on a pad, but on Street Fighter and Tekken I play with a stick, and eventually I'll get a leverless controller. I'm really interested in the ones that have the
that's another great thing, since sorry not to interrupt, but
no, go ahead.
Mortal Kombat, when we go back in the day, like, Mortal Kombat X was a game where like hitbox was actually a cheater. Like, people joke about this stuff now, cheater box. Like, if you never played a heavy weapons Jax on hitbox in Mortal Kombat X, that is a different character. That is the boss mode of that character. Like, he has better neutral, better combos, better pressure. Liu Kang, all those like corner, like fireball combos, like, that's only possible on a hitbox. So like,
yeah,
you call it cheater box now, but it was way worse back in the day.
Yeah.
So like what's out there today is nothing compared to how it was.
Yeah, and it was very new. And it was I do remember at locals, people bring in their hitbox, but at the time, no, I'm sorry, by the time people started really getting a hitbox, MK11 had been out. But I didn't see that with the MKX at locals, but I did not know that. I did not know that. That's interesting.
I learned the hard way. Like, I'm not joking. Like, the first time Like, to me, I was like, "Oh, heavy weapons jacks." Like, I was
Mhm.
like, I tore Yukon or something, right? And it was just playing
Mhm.
casual. I was like, "Oh, cool. I don't see much of him." And
Mhm.
then guys on Hitbox, I'm like, "Oh, I've seen those on the internet." And then sure as
Yeah.
shit, the guy just runs me over. I'm like, "Oh my god." And I've never seen it because it's only possible on Hitbox, the stuff he was
Uh-huh.
doing.
Yeah. No, I'm very interested in the levelist ones that have the WASD inputs.
Mixed boxes.
Okay, all right, I'll have to look into those because I always thought that was really cool. So I'm so used to using that for for
It's a
other
really good
games.
layout. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Main Man Sui uses that. I think I remember him showing that, but yeah, and he's fantastic second player. So yeah, that's something I've kind of fiddled around with it with a keyboard, like on that, but it's just like using
And
the
like
what's
I
that?
like mixed box because it's arcade buttons, right? Like me, my keyboard, I did my time back in the day with like Caleria and all the old emulators,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
trying to like stumble to do combos and like
Yeah. No, I like using the WASD for the movement, but I just don't like using the keys for the actual, for the punches and kicks like that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I didn't like it. But eventually I'll look into that, or maybe I'll just, I don't know, get a Victrix or a Hitbox, with the Hitbox layout. So eventually I'll get one. Just I don't have $400 to spend.
I pinched my pennies for this one.
Yeah, and I look.
And luckily, as a YouTuber,
Mhm.
the business expense.
Noted. Got it.
So keep that in mind. If you have any
Right
kind of
on.
YouTube channel,
If
even if you only get like 2 views a video, it's technically a business expense. So
yeah, do you have to be monetized to?
I don't know how it works in the States, but
Mhm.
if you're trying to start a business on YouTube, even if you're not monetized here in Canada, it still counts. And of course, I am monetized, right? So it all properly goes on my taxes. It's part of my work.
Noted. Got, got it. Anybody content creators out there? Hey,
Yeah, it's the secret tech.
it's a business expense. There you can you can write
Yeah.
it off if you need to. Right on. I did not know that. That's awesome. Oh, Canada. but um but yeah, so Mortal Kombat 12. Before we get to that here, I said that I had a question. Temp wanted to know, let me get the exact wording here, but he wanted to know, um, here it is. I'd be curious to know how he wants MK12 to handle combo construction. Also curious if he's open to MK incorporating links and just frames instead of what are they combo strings.
For just frames, I'm totally open as
Okay.
long as they're not too strict.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put any one framers, and no one wants that stuff no more. But for links, you'd have to really change the combo system,
Mm-hmm.
like because links would kill jailing, because then links would actually combo.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I hit you down one and I'm like, I don't know, plus 12, because
Mm-hmm.
the way all NRS games work, you still get the block,
Mm-hmm.
even if the next hit is technically 10 frames and should combo and should link.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd have to throw out the entire system that's been the case forever for
Mm-hmm.
that to actually work. So
Right.
links, you have to turn the game into Street Fighter, which I love Street Fighter, but I want Mortal Kombat to be Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Okay. No,
But like I appreciate the idea. Just I don't see how you do it without wildly changing how everything works.
because that was one.
Yeah,
That was one thing that him and I actually talked about when during Mortal Kombat 11 beta was we were like, oh my gosh, there's hit confirm. Like, oh my god, I mean, it was a small hit confirm. I wouldn't even consider it like a hit confirm in the way that like Street Fighter and Guilty Gear has hit confirm, but it was slightly there. But
yeah, like you input part of your string, then you see if it happens, and then you input the rest of the string.
yeah, and I really like that a lot.
Yeah,
But
just going one button at a time, that's not Mortal Kombat.
yeah, that's very true, and yeah, I can agree with you there. And I mean, you're taking away what like more than 10 years of Mortal Kombat, combo design. So we've
That's the thing is like Mortal
Mhm.
Kombat, and like a big part of Mortal Kombat 2 is the block button. Everyone's like, oh, I hate the block button, but the game's only allowed to be as crazy as it is because there is a
Mhm.
block button. Like, all the teleports and all the weird angles of attacks and all that
Mhm.
only works because you're always blocking left and right at the same time.
Yeah, that's very true. In fact, it wasn't until I really started getting into a lot of other games because I mean, ultimately, my background falls on Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, but Mortal Kombat that was the first game that I got into that really like got into. So when I started venturing into other games, I didn't like holding back for block. That was very different, and I was like, is there a way that I can like, you know, like make it to where I can have a block button? Now I actually prefer to, you know, hold back for block. That's actually like a preference now, because, you know, I got used to it. But now it's just like second nature. But yeah, even back then I was like, I
it
like the
helps
block
if you
button.
play a lot of different games.
Yeah.
Like, I played Street Fighter all the time, sure. Play Tekken, that's back to block. But
Mm-hmm.
play Mortal Kombat, I play Virtual Fighter, I play Soul Calibur. Those are guard button games.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, it's just like slipping on a shoe. Like I never
Mm-hmm.
considered one better than the other because admittedly, I'm in the rare position where I played so many different games. Most people don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
They'll grow up in the ecosystem they grew up in, and then they won't like the other.
Yeah. Have you ever gone from playing Street Fighter 5 to Mortal Kombat 11, like stopping one and then going to another and then like messing up when you're trying?
Not for 5 and 11, but for X and 4, a lot.
Yeah.
Play 2 hours MK11 or 2 player. 2 no. 2 hours. 2 hours.
Take a deep breath. Yeah.
And then I'll go, okay, we'll go and play like an hour of Street Fighter 4, and then we'll go back to MK and like just switch back and forth nonstop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that happened to me when I was playing. I'd be playing Street Fighter 5 and just getting used to that, and then I'd go play a couple hours of MK11, and I'd be like, "Why am I not Oh, because there's a block button." That's right. But
like some people, like for me, I can do that like casually, tournament wise. Like, I couldn't do that so good.
Mm-hmm.
But some people make a total living of it. Like Tokido famously would be like, okay, here I'm in Street Fighter, next I'm in King of Fighters, and like next I'm in whatever else game. Like some people just have that skill set.
Yeah.
There's still some shakiness, but like casually, I'm perfectly fine with it. I don't know if I'd be competitively fine with it.
Yeah. No, not in the way like you're saying Tokido and Kizzy K. I think he does the same thing too. He goes from like game to game to game. He's more like does a lot of anime fighters and everything. But yeah, having that block button was a big deal, and having the string combos. So yeah, taking that away, I can see your point, because it just wouldn't be Mortal Kombat at that point. Everything. I mean, there is like Tekken 7 to where it's just there's a good healthy balance between the two, I think, because there's definitely like string combos in there, but it's like three strings.
Mortal Kombat's also more, it has like a lot of 3D rule set in 2D game,
and
that's why like hits are the way they are, because like like same thing with Virtual Fighter. Like Virtual Fighter, everything will be strings, it will be natural combos. There's no links. The second you leave a gap, you can block.
Yeah,
and even if it's plus enough, which would rarely be because the frames are usually pretty tight in VF, you wouldn't get those kind of combos. That's their like side turn, which is a whole other thing.
Yeah, and real fast. You were really wanting to see some sort of Virtua Fighter 6.
Yep.
I haven't seen any. Is that just are you just hoping for Virtua Fighter 6, or is there some sort of like rumor out there that Virtua Fighter 6 is it in development? Is that?
I believe it will happen one day.
Okay.
I just don't know when that is.
So yeah,
my thought, and I hoped, and still could be for all I know. I don't actually know, but like it could be in development. Like there's money to be made there. And like people are like, well, it hasn't been a big deal in like so long. I'm like, so what? It only takes one smart trailer. Oh, by the way, Kiryu and Goro Majima from Yakuza are playable. As Yakuza sells millions of copies now, and almost every Yakuza game has Virtual Fighter in it. Oh, and by the way, here's like a Sonic costume in the trailer. Like, just leverage all this Sega stuff. And it takes one thing like that, and you're back in. And maybe like a guest character from Tekken, like take Heihachi on loan or something to bring in some of the Tekken crew. Like it's legitimately, it's not a hard sell.
Heihachi died and
I don't
was
have
resurrected in
exact
Virtua
numbers,
Fighter.
but when Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown was free on PlayStation Plus, it did higher than average numbers for PlayStation Plus, is my understanding.
No, I did not know that. And take note, that game came out in 2006.
There's a window. It can be done. It can be done. Like, I'm not just the crazy old guy hoping for the old game. Like, okay, maybe I am too, but like it's more real than hoping for. I don't mean to insult Bloody Roar fans, but it's more real than hoping for a new Bloody Roar. You know, like new VF can be done, and I think it'd be done fairly easily. It's not a hard sell. Because like people don't understand that like Tekken didn't take over till like the big gap between VF4 and VF5.
Mm-hmm.
That's only when Tekken finally took over. Like VF was the game first.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, it was literally the first game. Like Tekken is a Virtua Fighter ripoff.
Mm-hmm.
I say that in the nicest way, you know, but it is.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, nobody cared about Tekken 2. It was all about VF2.
Mm-hmm.
When it was the PS2 era, like Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution was the grand slam of fighting games.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tekken 5 was cool and all,
Mm-hmm.
and like a lot of people liked it. Like VF4 was Evolution especially was like the gold standard. And then on gap between games, for whatever reason, Sega just abandoned North America and Europe for Virtua Fighter 5, basically. And then Tekken didn't. So all of a sudden, you know, Tekken 5 gets big, then we have Tekken 6, I have Dark Resurrection first, and Tekken 6, and then and it just became the de facto thing because Sega stopped caring about everyone but Japan. And like market is the world. And just focus on Japan anymore. It hasn't been that case in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was crazy because the game came out in 2006, and then
VF5 is a 17-year-old game.
It is, and I mean, yeah, technically it did get its engine.
There's version, you know, version B, version C.
Yeah,
Final
but
Showdown.
But ultimately, I was gonna say ultimately it's a 2006 game, and it still holds up.
Street Fighter 4 is newer than Virtua Fighter 5.
Yeah, and it still holds up. Like I was never a huge Virtua Fighter. I want to say like I just wasn't a player. I wouldn't say like no. I just wasn't a huge fan because it just wasn't around. See, in my experience, it was the opposite. It was Tekken. Tekken was here. You know, you go to the arcades here in where I'm from, Yuba City, which is in Northern California. The arcade had Tekken in it. It didn't have Virtua Fighter. When you went to the pizza shop, pizza parlor, Straw Hat Pizza, it had Tekken. So we had Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and Tekken. Those were like the big three. So Virtua Fighter and King of Fighters wasn't really there. Not even Darkstalkers. Like I didn't know what Darkstalkers was until like way later, just because it wasn't around where I lived. Which is another one. I think if you were to bring back Darkstalkers, it would do fairly well.
At that point for Darkstalkers, it's just realistically, it's Capcom competing against itself.
Yeah, and
like, to me, how you resurrect Darkstalkers, like I think the dream's dead for a fighting game. Once you're just competing against yourself, just merge it with the Devil May Cry universe. It's the easiest layup ever.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
Oh, the Demon World, the thing that every Devil May Cry is about. Like, it's an easy sell, man, and like. Oh, then we put in, now you can play as Dante or Morgan and Dimitri, who would have their own movesets. And
yeah, I was literally about to say, oh, Dante and Morgan can team up, and yeah, I can see
it's easy. Like,
yeah, it's an easy sell, and I mean Morgan sells. Like everybody loves Morgan.
Morgan is the most popular character in gaming history that hasn't had her own game in like last version of Darkstalkers was 96. But yeah, it's been a minute or two, like. And yet she is enduringly popular.
Yeah. I mean, she was a really good character in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, even though that game didn't really last very long. But I mean, I still enjoyed playing her, on that. But like I said, like growing up, Darkstalkers wasn't really a thing. I wish I knew about it now, looking back on it, because back in the 90s, Capcom just blurted out fighting games, and each one was freaking fantastic. So
realistically, the business model back in the day was they're meant to be more disposable. You do your update for this year and you put out as many as you can, and like that model only went away because arcades went away.
Yeah, that's very true. So yeah, and you're kind of right. It's like thinking about it like on the like as like being putting on my business hat. It's like I don't think Darkstalkers would work or could be resurrected as a fighting game, considering how popular Street Fighter is, and Capcom's their focus on that one. And if they were to put out like Darkstalkers as a fighting game, I don't think it would do very well. I think the things that would do really well is the characters of Darkstalkers. So yeah, I fully agree with you that doing a Darkstalkers Devil May Cry cross would be a great idea.
Yeah, or just like more versus games, like of course in the whole versus game stuff, like that's less competing itself, because a lot of people who play versus games don't play Street Fighter. You know, versus like a one-on-one fighter Darkstalkers would be. But like they should eventually just do Capcom All Stars, just forget Disney. Like Infinite proved the relationship doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And like they got very big IPs. You put a good like 6 or 7 Resident Evil characters besides like the usual Nemesis and Chris, you can sell a lot of copies. All the Monster Hunter stuff, that's another easy layup. Like Lady Dimitrescu in a fighting game.
Street Fighter doesn't really do, they don't, I mean, technically Poison is a guest character, right? I mean,
that's all in universe, right? Like,
right, it's within universe.
Rival Schools also counts. That's why Akira was added in the last season of 5.
Right, because I was gonna say like they don't really do guest characters in Street Fighter, because I was like, it'd be
not like Tekken or Soul Calibur. No.
Yeah, so I was gonna say it could be cool to see like Dante and Morgan as guest characters in Street Fighter, but Street Fighter doesn't really do those guest characters anyway. So
it'd be a riot. It's not built to.
Let's just make a Well, we can
plus
just
Street Fighter. You can just do costumes.
I was gonna say we can just do a Chun-Li and a Jury costume of Morgan, and we can do a Ken costume of Dante and call it good. So yeah,
that's what they did in 5. So
no, that's why. But yeah, no, I would like to see some sort of some more Darkstalker stuff, but just because I didn't really have a lot of it growing up, and now I'm like super interested, and we play Darkstalker sometimes on Fightgate, and we have a great time with that.
It's a classic, but like I said, just a lot of those games back in the day, they never thought people would still be playing this stuff 20 years down the line, right? Like we made our version for this year. Here's a profit margin. Allocate whatever dollars to the next revision next year, and just move on, right?
That would be a great question. If I could sit down, if I can sit Ed Boon, Harada, and Ono down and just be like, did you guys think it would continue like on from the 90s? And I'm sure a lot of them would probably be like, no, we had no idea. Yeah. But yeah, that makes me think of how Mortal Kombat would be if Tobias was still here. If he didn't leave.
He's at WB still, but just not at the MK team. Yeah.
And that's new, isn't it? That's like 2 years ago or something like that, right? Like he wasn't always
like that.
Yeah. I mean, I would consider like that like kind of new, but before that he was not with WB. So Tobias being with WB. Yeah, it's like kind of new, which also makes me wonder, like, okay, is Tobias gonna have that much influence on Mortal Kombat considering he's with WB?
Realistically, nothing against the guy, but I don't think he should, since he's been gone so long. Like, it's just this move past him. Like, it'd be nice to, like, here's, take a couple pictures, handshake, whatever. But like major influence on the game, that he hasn't been a part of in forever. Like, once again, nothing against the guy, but just I don't think it's a play to make.
Yeah, there's a lot of the conversations that I have with people. I mean, I was fortunate enough to talk to a developer for he's now with an independent company, but he focuses on action adventures, storytelling games, and he worked for like Naughty Dog and Sony and stuff like that. But when I asked him about this is kind of like a change of topic here, but when I asked him, like you got all these fans, all these Mortal Kombat fans, and I asked them a question. I'm like, I'm asking this specifically for Mortal Kombat, but in your experience working as a developer, and they do major retcons with stories, and because Sindel was a retcon, as much as people like to play it out to be, it definitely was a retcon.
Vastly improved, I agree.
But it made a lot of people upset. A lot of fans did not like that retcon, and so why would they do this? Did they know that it's going to make people upset, or do you think that? And he goes, to be honest, you're not going to like this answer, but companies are willing to burn bridges to kind of get rid of old fans to bring in new fans, because if you bring in new fans, it's more people, it's more new fans than there are older fans. And it's very good for sales, and nothing against sales. I want companies to make money, so I'm definitely not like against the greedy corporations or anything like that, or they're just trying to make money. I hate it when people say that, but yeah, is with that. So moving forward, a lot of the conversations I have with the next iteration of the Mortal Kombat 12 story is they want it to return back to the roots of Mortal Kombat. They want it to be like the Great Kung Lao era, do the tournament. And we've talked before that you agreed, or you said that all fighting games should be based around a tournament of sorts.
Like maybe that's my old school mindset, but that's the best. Like all the best fighting game stories are based around a tournament.
Right. And I mean, Tekken, I think, is still based around a tournament.
The official story now, as of Tekken 8, is there was gonna be a Tekken 7 tournament, and Heihachi disappeared and it didn't happen. That's the official line now.
Okay. And that was like today, wasn't it? Like
it came out, the news is like whenever they updated the Paul bio.
Okay. So yeah,
Paul's gonna get all the money, then there was no tournament, so he's broke again.
He didn't have enough money for hair gel. But like Guilty Gear, Mortal Kombat hasn't been a tournament story in a long time. So like, yeah, having that, but yeah, a lot of conversations going around that. So it's like, I would kind of like Tobias to have some sort of influence in that, because he had that old style of storytelling, the Asian mysticism, of that was, kind of Mortal Kombat, not the special forces military operations that it is now, and based around a tournament and everything. And it seems like they're just heading in that direction. So
honestly, that appeals to fans, like North American fans. They like Army, rah rah, let's go, right? So
true. Yeah.
What I would want, which won't happen, is I want them to follow through with they left on an MKX for like the singular endings. In that when Raiden was mad, he invaded Outworld, and then Kotal Khan invoked Mortal Kombat. And then they had the series of tournaments to defend Outworld from Earthrealm. Which I just think is, considering how it's been for so many years, it's a really good play on how it's always been. But who knows?
Yeah.
All I know was I just want a tournament. Like you can play it like Earthrealm's about to win, then something happens or whatever. Like I don't know, but or you could do it. It's like if you do the Great Kung Lao thing, you literally do that split between Shang Tsung and Goro. Something would have to change. It can't just be the same. As like you lose all the Earth characters if you go back that far. There's no Kano, there's no Sonya, there's no Johnny, there's no Jax, because they haven't been born yet. Hundreds of years beforehand.
My theory is that those characters are going to exist in that timeline. They're just not going to be as we know them, like in prior games. So
the only thing is why I hope they don't do that is that exact thing is a proven failure in Soul Calibur 5.
Okay.
This is the same character, but a different name and personality.
Right.
Like, I'm legitimately can't remember his name anymore. The guy who was Killick, he's not Killick. He has all the Killick's moves, and I cannot remember his name. And they had that for everyone. Like, there's not Sophidia and Cassandra. There's Pyrrha and Patroclus, who nobody liked. Anghua was Lazia, and they literally look exactly the same, and you can't tell them apart. The only thing that's different is the name. Which at why are you doing that? Like, I don't know. And like Soul Calibur 5 is considered like a low point in the franchise's history.
It was. I do remember that.
So.
Yeah. And Soul Calibur 6 is like arguably one of the best Soul Caliburs, besides maybe Soul Calibur 2. But
Soul Calibur 6 is good now. The problem is in the early days with the reverse ledge, it did a lot of damage to the brand early on. If the game launched as it is now, I think Soul Calibur 6 would still be with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Good.
don't want it like if it's Great Kung Lao era, and like here's a guy, and it's totally Jax.
Hmm.
He has like wood arms or some bullshit, and his name is like XAJ. It's Jax backwards, Zaj. But it's Jax in all things, but literally, but name.
Right.
It's still not Jax.
But it's
You
still
know?
not Jax. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
My kind of theory, and I just completely pay off of my own fan fictions and stuff, not that I write any, but I'm just saying, like, it would just be, there would be Jax, there would be Sonya, there would be Johnny Cage, there would be those characters, they would exist in that timeline, except they would just, Johnny Cage wouldn't be a movie star, he would be he would be there as Johnny Cage with the same kind of look and moveset, but it would just, he wouldn't be like the movie star because it's 500 years ago. He would be doing something else. Same thing with like
The only thing, because I have thought about it too, right? Because I waste my life on this stuff. You do the Great Kung Lao era, you reboot from there, and then you do, like I said, you do the reverse, right? So Earthrealm up 9, Outworld has 1 left to win, and then we're in the modern day. And then if you want to
okay.
play around with stuff, now that we're in the modern day, just with that flip, and okay, like Tony and Jax are criminals, Kano is special forces. If you want to mess around with the established formula, obviously Liu Kang can't be the chosen one anymore. You can have the new chosen one. Here comes John Raiden. Guy off the street, right? He's like, Mortal Kombat, what's this? And he unlocks his lightning powers over the course of the fight or whatever.
Yeah.
And Liu Kang's just like, don't worry, I know what's going on. You can do that, and then you can also mess with the whole Outworld timeline. Like maybe Onaga never lost. But you don't feel bad for Outworld because you're about to invade Onaga's world or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know, but like
I'm
we'll
looking forward to it because I mean, they personally, this is just my opinion. I 100% did not like that. I did not. MKX was okay. I give it like a 6 out of 10. MK11, I give it like maybe a 4 or 5 out of 10. I was not a fan of those stories. However, I loved the way MK11 ended because it opened so many doors for the future. And
there's no fixed point. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it ended. And I think they ended it purposely like that because we're just opening up for the new era. And that's why I made a video on it, the hope for the new era, because I do have hope for the new era. And I'm looking forward to a lot of things. There's a lot of things I want to see. Is one, as I know that Liu Kang is Fire God Liu Kang, and according to the ending, if it was the Katana ending, Katana is now a god as well, and looking forward to that. Looking forward to Great Kung Lao being the new Liu Kang. One thing I'd love to see is Kai come back, and I would like for Kai to fill that Kung Lao role that Kung Lao had in the past. And because Kai was such a cool looking character, particularly
You're the only Kai fan I've met in my whole life.
I liked him in Mortal Kombat Armageddon. I wish, because I know Tobias left after MK4, and I'm sure if he stayed on, Kai would be a more pivotal role if Tobias was here. But I would like for Kai to be in there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to what's to come. I know, like I said before, I know Ed Boon is kind of like, it was really funny. Not funny. It was really interesting to see Ed Boon be so upfront at the end of last year, because he was like, I'm going to tell you everything I'm allowed to tell you, and I'm going to be super honest about it. Not that he's ever dishonest. He's just cryptic. And so now he's gone back to, now we're the Ed Boon we all know, where he's like super cryptic, putting tweeting 12 ticks and, making 10-minute videos about it. But yeah, so that's what it tells me, like we're fixing to get something pretty soon, whether that's tomorrow or 6 months from now. It's
sometime this year is all we're
it's sometime within there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Is there anything in particular you're hoping for the next Mortal Kombat? Because first off, did you like Mortal Kombat 11?
I like it. It's not my favorite Mortal Kombat.
Okay, that's fair. Is there things that you particularly would like to see come back for Mortal Kombat 12?
I could talk 2 hours about this. So like, I'll give the longest story short.
Okay.
All things equal, I don't want it to play exactly like Mortal Kombat X. I would like it to shift closer back to Mortal Kombat X than we have from what 11 is.
In this, like the speed of it,
In terms of
or
just all the gameplay.
so you like the 50/50s and
That's happening no matter what.
okay.
Just it was more prone in that game.
Mm-hmm.
General speed is one. Um, Characters had more varied and better move sets.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Do you like variations?
Gotta go.
Okay.
It was this is what I say every time. It was a worthy experiment. It was worth trying.
Okay.
And the implementation of 11 was way worse than it was in X.
I 100% agree. Customized variations was not a good choice. I did not like that one.
Oh, and well, we only got real customs like a year and a half in.
Right. It
Or we
wasn't
got the crippled variations that had like a dead move every time.
yeah.
Oh,
And there were even moves that weren't allowed to use.
Like, since we're like already halfway a 3D game in terms of rule set,
Mm-hmm.
just give everyone the big move set.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no one gonna play. Oh man, I have 20 strings and 10 special moves. No
Mm-hmm.
one's gonna be sad about that.
Mm-hmm.
People are gonna be very happy if that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll just do it.
Yeah.
Give everyone the biggest expansive move set. Like imagine like MKX Cryomancer sub, but also Grandmaster sub. It
Mm-hmm.
has all the weapon stuff. They also do all the clone stuff. That'd be a
Mm-hmm.
really fun character.
It would be.
Yeah.
And I'm not
And
even
like,
a Sub-Zero fan too. I like
and like
Sub-Zero. I just don't use them.
basically the
But
case for everyone. Like
mm-hmm.
certain characters of like when it comes to like character identity, Triborg wouldn't be as good of an idea, but like a Melina. Okay, so we do like take piercing as the base. She can do all the teleport tricks from Ethereal, and she also has a command grab from Ravenous.
Mm-hmm.
And all that in one character, that's a hell of a character. And
Mm-hmm.
nothing overlaps. It's all just a one big part of the character identity.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can do that very easily. And I'm not saying you have to, every character has to have like a massive move list or nothing. Just one character, that's the focus, no variations.
Mm-hmm.
Or from there. You tried it, it was worthy to try.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, I don't think it proved itself and only got worse in 11.
Mm-hmm.
Just go back to one character, big move set.
Yeah, I can agree.
Like as for stuff like dash versus run, I wouldn't mind dash working closer to like MK9, I guess. And that you can just freely dash cancel everything. He doesn't
Yeah.
have to be run, but I'm not opposed to run either.
I'm so used to I really liked run. I didn't like how they only let like I think it was Jade and one other character that could run in MK11. I was so used to Mortal Kombat 3 having the run, and so ever since Mortal Kombat 3 I was just like, I like this, I can run, I like the I like that, and having it in Mortal Kombat X, and like, yeah, you can run cancel. I always thought that was really cool, run canceling. So I was so used to it. I understand why they went back, because they tried to slow things down in Mortal Kombat 11 make it more like quote neutral.
It's not like the change is definitely not a speed thing, because I'm not opposed to the pace either in MK11.
Mm-hmm.
That was not my issue with the game.
Mm-hmm.
But stuff like breakaway, get that stuff away, get
Dude,
that out of the game.
You had combo breaker. I mean,
The combo breaker worked.
It was great.
Figured that out in Deception.
Yeah.
Oh, like we tweaked the rules. It went from like stocks to meter, but like simple concept. You're losing something valuable if you do it, especially in 9 and 10, because you're taking that's 2 bars is the world. 9 and 10, right? So, and breakaways like, if I know what your B&B structure is, I'm going to punish you because your combo becomes my combo.
Right. And
if you do a specific combo, okay, if I know your route, okay, I can break exactly here, and you're going to whiff your next move. I stand up, full combo for me.
And I was a Katana main, and you know how like her combo strings were so long too. So if you just like broke away at the right second, it's like you can just pop up and completely punish me for getting a combo on you. That was, yeah.
I guess that's the other thing is combo structure. I definitely would like to be more like 10 than 11. Because Katana is a great example, because there's pre-patch Katana and there's vanilla Katana, right? If you got the game on day 1, there was a day 1 patch, but if you didn't play the day 1 patch in 11, Katana had wildly different combo structure.
Mm-hmm.
She played like more like MKX Katana. Then
Mm-hmm.
when you applied the day one patch, then she became like every combo is like 3 hits.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Like.
saying it has to be like super long because I don't like long combos either.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit more expressive. Like my favorite MK combo, and most characters can do it. It's like I pop you in the corners and like, huh, 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 and then like they start falling down, and then you crouch down, huh, 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 and just like hit them like 7 or 8 times with like down ones, right?
Right.
I always find those very satisfying, and you can't really do that in MK 11.
No. MKX. Oh my gosh. Just like if you played
Yeah, like
Melina.
MKX, like I had
Yeah.
combos with Cutthroat Kano, and I'm like run dash canceling, jabbing you halfway across the screen. Like that was really fun to do.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I understand. And I agree. It's like I don't like it when it's like super long combos, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I love like Street Fighter. And even in Tekken, Tekken has, I would argue, has pretty long combos with all the juggling and stuff like that, but they're not so long to the point where I can put down my controller, check my phone, and then pick my phone back up, and it's still going on. It's fair, I would say. Even if you get all the way across the map to the wall, it's just like, okay, but you know yeah, Street Fighter I think is almost perfect, but that's because of the way that Street
Street
Fighter
Fighter kind of
structures.
like what I think Street Fighter does very fairly
Mm-hmm.
is well, the combos are shorter in the end, but it leaves
Mm-hmm.
that to character, right?
True. Yeah, that's very true.
Someone like Street Fighter 5 Seth can put up some pretty long freaking combos.
Mm-hmm.
If you're
Yeah.
Guile, crouch, medium kick, flash kick, who cares? That's it. We're done.
Yeah.
Unless you get in the corner and V trigger, and then it's like, oh, it's an actual 20-second combo.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally it's like on the character
Mm-hmm.
for combo length.
Yeah.
And I do like that. Like it's not just purely system level.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has like the same starter that like Tekken.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone's like whatever juggle, whatever screw attack, run, and then are you going to try to get the wall or not? Depends on the next phase of
Yeah.
the combo. But like,
Is
I like
it
there's more individuality in that way.
in Tekken?
Oh, in Street Fighter,
Oh
Tekken, you're
yeah.
always going to launch, you're always going to screw attack in Tekken 7,
You're always gonna
and
sidestep launcher, and you're always
most
gonna juggle.
stages you're going to milk your combo all the way to try to hit the wall,
Mm-hmm.
and then go from there.
Yeah.
Which is different in Tekken 8 because now stages are like 4 times bigger.
Mm-hmm.
The tail spin does not put you near as far away.
Mm-hmm.
So every combo ending in corner carry to the wall is no longer a thing in Tekken 8. So now you can get a little bit more expressive with your combos.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can see there's a lot of carryover from Street Fighter 5 to Street Fighter 6. How do you feel about Tekken 8 being more quote aggressive? And by the way, it's like I watched Eris and Max Dude talk about how the game's trailers don't do it justice. They actually said or particular Eris said is that the trailers were garbage and compared to how good the game actually is. Like when he got hands-on experience with the actual game, when he went to Bandai Namco's in a headquarters in LA, he was like, no, the trailers don't do it justice. The game is actually like super fun. It's super good and everything. And I kind of wanted to elaborate more on the aggressiveness of the game to see like, is the game going to be actually as aggressive as they're making it out to be, and which it actually seems so. But Tekken was such a technical footsie defensive kind of game versus Tekken 8 seems like they're just trying they're trying to make it more faster, more aggressive, more like, everything is all about,
Well, for me, like I saw, like I'm not lucky enough to get hands on, so I gotta talk from like the spectator's point of view.
right.
But for me, a lot of the changes from what I've seen and heard,
Mm-hmm.
we'll talk about it. Like obviously the systems are different.
Mm-hmm.
As the guy who's the Virtua Fighter fan, it makes the game seem a bit more like Virtua Fighter. Like
Mm-hmm.
once you get in, you stay stuck in. Like
Yeah.
my understanding too, like say backstep. Apparently, like for some characters, backstep is just not as good anymore. Like you can't KBD the same way you could
Yeah, they
before.
said that openly, that like they really nerfed backdash.
So when
So,
you're stuck in, you stay stuck in, and that's what Virtua Fighter is, right?
mm,
So as a Virtua Fighter fan, if I
yeah.
can't get my Virtua Fighter 6, if you're making Tekken 8 more like Virtua Fighter, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. But obviously, like the meter stuff,
Mm-hmm.
the fact then what was mind blowing to me was turns out every round you start with full meter, full players.
Mm,
So you are incentivized just to go.
right.
And every bit of meter at minimum. If you heat burst, that's guaranteed plus frames. If you heat dash, that's guaranteed plus frames.
Mm-hmm.
minimum, you have 2 sources of plus frame every round.
Mm-hmm.
You can enforce and the enemy can't do anything about. You either got to block or step or like, low crush, high crush, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It seems like there's going to be more back and forth than there is, than there has been in the past. It's like Tekken 7 was such a patient game. Like you had to be really patient and everything. A lot
I
of
like watching the Evo Japan finals. Like Arslan Ash is playing Fina on the infinite stages and just abusing her backdash, just running away all day, and other characters cannot match up. And her whiff punish game is also better than most. The second they whiff anything, bop bop, like every time, right? And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But I also see how, from definitely a more casual perspective, like, runaway being a big part of the experience isn't as preferable. And once again, too, like for me, Virtua Fighter fan, like once you're in, you get stuck in. Like Virtua Fighter is 2 cavemen, like even though it's a very technical game in every possible level, like everyone says Virtua Fighter is the most high level game of all time, but in a way, it's 2 cavemen beating each other's heads in. Like once you get in there, like, and there's like a million layers of guessing games to do it in. But once you're in, you stay in until someone gets knocked down. Of course, that's the other big difference between Virtua Fighter and Tekken is Virtua Fighter, you have to respect people's wake ups a lot of times because wake up kick's so strong, and conversely, wake up is nowhere near strong in Tekken. Like Oki's such a bigger part of the game when like you can lose the game the first time you get knocked down.
Yeah,
So
that's very
that's
true.
different. Apparently, wake up kick also got nerfed in Tekken 8. I think the Oki part of the game is going to be stronger. If wake up kick doesn't knock down anymore, that means it's a lot less threatening. And if like once again, I never got my hands on the game, so I don't know for sure. But yeah, Tekken 8 just seems like a game where you stay stuck in a lot more, and there's going to be a lot less patient play, a lot more swinging for the fences. Which at the highest levels of play maybe isn't as attractive, but I don't know because we don't know because the game's not out. But at a lower level of play, people definitely like that for sure.
Right. Yeah, and that's something like me and Temp were talking about was like when, because we were talking about like Tekken 7, about learning Tekken 7, because I was like, I returned to Tekken. I the past 2 weeks I've been playing Tekken 7, and I was really disappointed on the massive nerfs that Lydia got, because that was my main character. And but I, playing those characters is with like, we're talking to other people, like what's the quote? The 2 most common questions is who's the easiest character, and also who is the like easiest character to learn, because Tekken 7 is a very complex game with every character has 100 moves. And the other part is tier lists. And everybody wants to know who's like top tier, because now Lydia's been nerfed to hell, and she's not useless, but just not as good as maybe, Zafina, and who is top tier and semi easy to learn. But then there's also people who are top tier who are really hard to learn, such as like Brian, so is like, that was like the 2 things that, we're talking about, is finding that middle ground. And when you have a brand new Tekken player, or someone who's like, interested in Tekken, wants to play Tekken, it's like the first thing they want to see is who's the rush down character. They want to see who's the aggressive character, because they want to get in and start throwing punches. So I feel like Tekken 8, along with a lot of other games too, because Street Fighter 6, in Project L's talked about that. They're really hyper focused on bringing in the new players, bringing in more players. So having Tekken 8 be a lot more aggressive is going to be really attractive, for those new players.
New players always favor aggression. As simple as that.
Yeah.
Regardless, like Street Fighter 6, regardless of the tier, because it happens every time. Who's going to be one of the most hated characters? Honda. Honda's one of the most hated characters in Street Fighter 5, and he's garbage. Honda's one of the most hated characters in Street Fighter 4, and he's debatably good depending on the version of the game for Street Fighter 4. Like, because Honda slows the game down big time.
Right.
And people don't like that. They want to go, and a crouching Honda's just like, no.
Yeah.
You're going at my pace. That's it.
Crouching Honda, then headbutt. Crouching Honda, headbutt. Yeah.
Like, but he's got traditionally has one of the easiest anti-air options in 4 and 5. Just stand heavy punch, and like Honda doesn't have to play a game he doesn't want to play, and people hate that.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it doesn't matter if he's top tier because I don't think Honda's going to be top tier in 6. I'll tell you that right now. But is Honda going to get more hate than like characters twice as good as him that are rushdown characters? Yes, he will. Because he forces people to play not a fast game.
Yeah, and I would argue that's one of the biggest reasons why MKX was so popular. You know, because a lot
part of it is a very fast game.
Yeah, it's very fast, and it was like, that was another question I have like after this, but it's like MKX was a very fast paced, very aggressive. Almost every single character like played, I don't want to say played the same, but they all played very similar. It was just like pick and choose which kit that you liked best, but all of it, almost every character was kind of rushdown, except for, you know, a handful of.
To a degree, like I play a lot of War God Kodal, and like that's a definitely reactionary footsies character. And like Quan Chi's obviously his owner, and like I talk Honda, like Grandmaster Sub-Zero will slow down the game in a way very few characters can in any fighting game, right?
Right.
Because you're just gonna hide behind the clone all day long. Yeah, for the most
Put
part,
him in the corner and hide behind the clone. Yeah.
Yeah, like for sure, aggression is the archetype in the end overall.
Yeah, and then they just like slowed things down, of course, with MK11. That's, and I can agree with you that I think that things for MK12, things should go back to being, you know, a lot more quote aggressive, which I think is the ultimate theme. Because I think Street Fighter 6, I would argue, is actually a little bit faster than Street Fighter 5, and there's a lot more options, a lot more mechanics.
You gotta see what the other characters can do and what they bring to the table.
Yeah, and
that's what I would say.
Which is another
question. In the beta, it's all rush down to Shotos.
That's very true. Okay, and Kimberly's like very fast. You know, it's like all those you know fast characters, which is another reason.
Jamie's rush down, Kimberly's rush down.
Right. Yeah. You got a point. It makes sense why they would put those in the beta, because they want people to play those.
Want to hit buttons and go. Yeah.
Exactly. They want people to play those characters. But that was my thing with one of the biggest questions I had for you was Street Fighter 6 going in. You're a grappler fan. You like the big boys. You like the Zangiefs, the T-Hawks, you're probably gonna like Manon, or not Manon, Marissa. But Manon as well, because I had a friend
right now, like Lily and Manon are the number like 1 and 2 for me right now, and Marissa's number 3 and Honda's number 4. So
yeah. So going into Street Fighter 6, do you think this is going to be the game where the grappler reigns supreme?
I'll give you the answer. Give everyone every time a new game.
Okay.
It'll be the most complained about characters. Most of them will be probably actually bad.
Okay.
But people will just want, like, I remember like when DNF Duel came out and everyone complained about Grappler and Crusader. I'm like, these characters are actually garbage. Grappler's actually bad and Crusader's mid-tier at worst. And everyone's like, oh, you're wrong, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, nope, just wait and see it shake out, and that's how it always is. Big characters, grapplers always get complained about the most because they're scrub killers, as simple as that. And
but when you get into the higher tier,
will be the type of person who will get killed by the grappler the most. Like, will one of them be good? Will Zangief, Manon, Marissa, Lily be good in the end? Hopefully, at least one of them will be mid-tier. That's the dream. Because, like, realistically,
because I don't see either of them. I don't see either of them being pure grapplers. Like, they're grapplers for sure. Manon and
here's where I'm at. Manon specifically has the biggest, like, pass fail to me. He's either garbage or top tier.
Okay,
based how she works. There's no in between. She will not be mid-tier. She'll either be one of the better characters in the game or one of the worst.
I honestly, I'm calling it right now. I think she's actually going to be one of the best, and the reason why was because with the Cammy Manon expose that we got last week, I believe, and she had such good anti-airs and such good follow-ups to those anti-airs.
That's one of the strengths for sure, is her anti-air damage is definitely higher than average.
Right. And on top of that, it's like the follow-up. So because she grabbed after an anti-air. So she has such a good kit. And also it's like what I noticed about her and Lily is that they're not purely grapplers. You know, they still have
I would say Manon is the to me, my definition of grappler, because everyone's like, what? A lot of people come to me like as the grappler guy. It's like, well, this character has the grappler, so are they a grappler? I'm like, no, because this, that, and the other. Me, the definition of grappler in a 2D fighting game is simply this: threat of the grab is your primary win condition. Maybe you don't win with it, but the threat of it and people how they interact around the grab.
Knowing that
That
it's
is,
there.
yeah.
Okay.
So if that is the primary thing, which will be for Zangief and will be for Manon,
Mm-hmm.
that means they're primary grapplers.
Mm-hmm.
Say like a Honda. Honda has a grab, but it's not his primary thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, therefore he's not a grappler. Like he'd be more like a brawler. Hang on, puppy. Come here. Come here, puppy. Yeah, this is Monkey the puppy. He wants up. There we go, Monkey.
Yeah. All right. Fun
arm.
fact: Rooflemonger has a dog. I did not know that.
That's Monkey the puppy.
Monkey the puppy.
Yeah. But yeah, that's
you
kind
would
of
name him Monkey, but
and so the issue with Manon specifically is and she's a momentum grappler, which is actually something I've wanted for years. I'm actually very, very happy with that. Simple fact: round 1 fight, he starts at her absolute weakest.
Yeah, she builds up with the metals.
She can't get off the ground. That means she's going to remain weak in the round 2 and the round 3. Just not something other characters have to worry about. Maybe they have their own buffs, but they build the buff in the game flow, right?
Yeah.
This is a permanent mechanic for her. If she can't get off the ground, she will stay
low
and
tier.
when she gets the opportunity to actually get you back, then it's going to do less damage if she can't. That's the issue with the steamroller mechanic. So it's basically how good is the steamroll at all. That is 100% of how good she is.
And it's going to take a really confident player to play if that's the case. It's like
you're gonna have to play like an asshole.
Yeah.
If you're a grappler player, then you know how to play like a jerk. So like that part's
that's
easy,
true.
But
yeah. No, that's understandable. I think it would. I honestly think it'd be kind of cool to see the grappler, because to see the grappler actually like be top tier. See, I would love to see a grappler.
Get cried about and they'll get nerfed. So
yeah, I would like to see the grappler.
Just keep your nose above water and never ever raise your head above that. Enough to breathe. As soon as you put your head more above water, you get nerfed.
Yeah,
that's how it happens every time.
And it's you don't ever see both the grappler and zoners win tournaments. You always see the Shotos, you see the
in Street Fighter Legacy, like just as a whole, like because you can nitpick certain patches, certain revisions, but as a whole, Street Fighter always favors, like, as tournament viable characters. Street Fighter favors Shotos and Vanilla Rushdown. So, like,
Chun-Li, the Chun-Li's,
strongest characters out of the gate are going to be like Cammy and probably like Cammy and Guile. Rushdown, strong zoner.
Right. Well, Cammy sells Street Fighter, so
yeah. But like she has that generically strong Rushdown moveset.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't see her like it's one of those things, if we could like walk the clock back and take modern knowledge in Street Fighter 4 and apply it to before we knew stuff, Cammy would have been top tier in Street Fighter 4 way earlier revisions than what she was. Cammy's been top tier for most of Street Fighter 5's lifespan. Street Fighter likes generic vanilla Rushdown.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of understandable. I personally like that because that's the style of which I personally play. And
that's Rushdown is the most popular style, absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean,
the whole grappler revolution of Street Fighter 6 that people are losing their minds over is just because, maybe they're not awful this time. Like, that's literally the story. It's not that we're taking over. It's like, maybe they're not. Maybe it's actually worth your time for once.
Right.
That's the whole. That's the actual And as much as I love Justin, like Justin making the thumbnails like grapplers taking over, like all that kind of stuff, and it feeds into the narrative, right?
Right.
But yeah.
No, I remember that. I was sitting there, and like I would kind of be I would kind of be happy if it was like that. It'd be a change. It'd be a nice change of pace, and that's I like change, so it would kind of be cool to see that. I was talking with some friends the other day about it and everything, because I'm sorry, I did the last podcast with Temp, and we were talking about the top 5 characters we would like to be DLC, and personally, like Decapre for Street Fighter 6. I would love Decapre to come back. She is my favorite Street Fighter 4 character, and it'd be nice to see another doll in there. And I would be okay with like maybe Junie or Julie coming back as well. Like, just
I would actually like because Junie's a pixie grappler, which is very rare, and Julie is charge Cammy, which is also very different because she can do like charge air drill, which is a whole bunch of nonsense in and of itself.
Yeah, but I would just like to see like another doll in there, but preferably DeCapre. I would love to see that character back. I also have like a soft spot for like Russian, so but from where I live. But the other thing was Abel. That was another character I'd really like to see come back is Abel. I'd also like to see Sean come back, except not as horrible as he was in Third Strike, but Sean and Abel and
Second Impact or Giant Impact or whatever. Street Fighter 2 3-2.
Yeah, but I would like to see Sean be like a Shoto grappler hybrid, considering he's from Matsuda Jiu-Jitsu and he's also Ken's student, so it'd kind of be cool to see like an MMA style. Same thing with Abel. I would like to see it. So all the characters I would like to see come back besides the Capre are all grappler characters and or grappler hybrids. So and the moment I mentioned Abel, Temp was just like, that was the first thing he said. He goes, "Oh, people hate Abel because you play like an asshole when you play Abel." So
spin, roll. Like if Manon's twirls anything like Abel's roll, then then we're gonna put her on the higher end of things.
Right.
Marseille roll is some BS.
And that was another thing is a lot of people argue that Manon is just a reskin of Abel, and
definitely not. But
I don't see it. But yeah,
like there's aspects has grab, has like her kick's definitely more like Jaguar kick, like Adon, than it has Abel's wheel kick, but like has kick leap off ground and kick person in head. There's like some link there,
right?
I almost said like, and if spins like Marseille roll and you can just go through everything, then that's going to be an issue.
But yeah, I mean, is there any particular characters you'd like to see come back? Like
me personally, one of my few regrets in the Street Fighter 4 era is I wish I put more time into Hakan.
And Temp said the same thing was Hakan. He's like, yeah, I know he has red skin and green hair, with the little with the like, things. Whatever that was.
But yeah,
he's a strange looking guy, but okay.
He's hyper unique. Nobody's like him in any other game. And like I said, I just wish I played him more. Obviously, Street Fighter 4 is not an ongoing concern, so I don't really have time to play him now. But given Street Fighter 6 is more focused on like mini buffs and all that kind of stuff, to be right at home with the system. The only issue is there's no issue gameplay wise. He would be a perfect fit. It's obviously just how do you make him look like a human being in the new engine? Like he looks kind of freaky, right? And it worked fine in Street Fighter 4, but now that we're getting more real, I don't know how that works 1-to-1. Yeah, I think he would be a fantastic get. Would play good. Besides Hakan, even though I wouldn't necessarily even play her, I think Maki would be interesting.
Ooh, yeah. I didn't even think about her.
Maki does not play like Guy. She is her own, like in CVS2 and all that. She's her own character. She has the whole Bushin Ryu thing, but she's her own character. So, like, I think that would be a valuable like attempt. And plus, it's another Final Fight rather character you can bring in. After that, I don't know, because like honestly, like I'm very happy with the starting roster. Normally, every new fighter, I have like maybe one character I like. This game, I have at least 4 like out of the gate.
That's awesome.
Like that's very rare for me. I'm very happy with the starting roster. I wouldn't mind seeing Hugo come back. Then I realized like big person with armor role that's Marissa. like she's kind of eating his lunch. Same reason like people who want Guy. I'm like, you can't have Guy because Kimberly's there. She does 90% of his moveset. So like, how would you even make Guy unless you made Guy not Guy? So like, but yeah,
that's understandable. What about like Yoon or Yang?
I hate the twins. I don't know. And like Jamie, Jamie's still his own dude, but he's eating their lunch a little bit.
Yeah, like he is.
If they ever show up, it'll be like a year 3 or year 4 thing, I think.
That's literally what Temp said. Yeah.
Up again, too.
He was so popular. He was so popular in Third Strike. Well, he was overpowered in Third Strike, but I mean, like he's both Yoon and Yang. Mostly Yoon is very popular, so I can see them coming back.
I like Street Fighter 4 Poison more than Street Fighter 5 Poison, just
really
gameplay wise,
because she's so popular in Street Fighter 5.
I don't say popular. Like she's on the lower end of the thing because she's a more technical character in 5, right?
Yeah, well, competitively,
Uh,
she was very popular.
Competitively, yeah, but like just
Yeah.
in terms of pure popularity. But because she's like a weird off-brand Shoto in 4, just as
Mm.
she's like Dalsum Light in 5,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, I just gelled with the off-brand Shoto more.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't want to see someone like Rolento come back. I don't want to see Elena come back.
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot more characters I don't want to see come back, I guess, than I do want to see. Like I'm very receptive to new characters as well.
Okay.
G would be the last one. I would actually love to see G return. I think he's a very
I
fun character with very
yeah,
unique mechanics.
the president of the universe. Yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
kind of neat to see him. A lot of people also said Q, like they would love no, because just to fulfill the mystery of who Q actually
Okay,
is.
you want the real answer? I'll give you the real answer on the Q mystery.
It's G.
They don't even know. Whatever theories you got, it
Uh
doesn't matter. They don't know. They didn't think this far ahead when they made that character, you know?
huh.
If they
Yeah,
ever do anything with it, it's retrofitted decades after the fact.
that's a
You know?
good answer actually, because I would imagine like, okay, we're gonna make a very mysterious character, who's wearing like a trench coat and a hat, and we're cover his face, but there is no story. There's nothing there. He's just there for you, ambiguously for you to make
Whatever
up.
he's there to
Yeah.
inflame your imagination, but there's nothing under the hood. They never thought that
Okay.
far ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's good
I've seen
to do.
I saw a theory, someone said T-Hawk was Q.
What?
Exactly. Exactly.
that's
Well, he's
that's a little
tall.
far fetched, but
Tall.
he's
We
not
all tall.
wide. But
Maybe he lost weight in his old age just in the future.
maybe. But yeah, there's that's funny. You have so many characters that you would love not to return. But Hakan, you're the second person who said Hakan. A lot of people want to see that character come back, but doing justice. Same thing. A lot like I think Sean should come back, and I think he would fit really well.
Like I'm not opposed to Sean, but he has to be something completely different. We already got
Yeah.
Ryukin. We're getting Akuma. We already got 3 Shotos. They're gonna eventually put Sakura in there because of course they are. So we're gonna have 4 Shotos. We don't need Sean as a 5th Shoto. You know, Sean needs to
Yeah.
be something else.
I would hope he would fill the Laura role. Have the Matsuda Jiu-Jitsu, come back. And having someone who trains jiu-jitsu myself, I like to see jiu-jitsu or judo practitioner. That's why I was so stoked about Manon, because I was like, oh, a judoka, this is awesome. Like having an actual like judo practitioner, like that's awesome. So yeah, it'd be really fun to see. But above all, I mean, Decapre, that's the one character I would love to see come back. And
She's very interesting.
she's
Nobody play like her, that's for sure.
yeah, no, like the
And on a
yeah, there
personal
were
level, she's a
none.
piano character. I like pianoing.
Mm-hmm.
One of my biggest fears of Street Fighter 6, because we still don't know, is I think they might have removed mash inputs.
Okay.
Because you just don't know. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen many strings from the Blanca and Honda footage where it looks like they're doing pianos. It could just actually be emotion,
Mm-hmm.
which I understand from a purely player-friendly perspective
Mm-hmm.
is for the best. But I grew up with that. I played Honda first over everyone else because I could go because I know how to do special moves.
You just 3 times, like you just hit it, and you would do the
Exactly. You do 100 hand slap.
yeah.
And that's eventually why Chun-Li became my second character. Like, because I'll just do kicks instead.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's one of those things like it's for the best to move on from mash motions, but I don't want to move on from mash motions. At least give me Honda. Like,
Yeah, I don't think they are. That's the thing about another thing that some friends of mine have been talking about is like, dude, the Japanese developers, game developers, and in general are just killing it right now with like Tekken, Street Fighter, like Elden Ring, Resident Evil 4 remake. Like Japan is killing it right now, and I'm stoked. I couldn't be happier with the way they're doing it. But it's one of the things is I think, and this is just theorizing, is they're hyper focused on making a good game. They're hyper focused on making a complete game for one, and they're just the game first, business later. And one of my favorite moments in gaming history was when I always forget his name, but the developer of Final Fantasy 14 So there's Final Fantasy 14, the first one, and then there's The Realm Reborn, which is the second one. And when they apologized for how bad 14 was, and they were crying, and they were saying, like, they were bowing, saying, like, we are so sorry for how bad this was. We're going to go back to the drawing board and we're going to remake it, but we're also going to keep the servers alive. So if you want to continue playing it, you can keep doing it, but we're going to have a skeleton crew serving this, and then we're going to go back and do this. There's a really good documentary on it. And then they come back, they release the game, and it's one of the best MMORPGs to ever be created. And they were sobbing and crying. It was beautiful to watch. But that's like the philosophy I see in like Japanese, game development. You see like Nakayama and Matsumoto, and they're just like, we're going to create a fun game that everyone can enjoy. And we're having the philosophy that we had in Street Fighter 2, where everybody was lining up at the arcades to go play this game. Obviously, we're not at arcades anymore. We're, at home. But that's just kind of my, my kind of soapbox there for a moment, is just like, I'm very proud of Japanese developers, because it seems that where American developers are like live service, put out a 2/3 create a game, we're going to fix it later. And, all these, like all the
when you say the Japanese developers, that's what Final Fantasy 14 was. That was what Street Fighter 5 was.
Mm-hmm.
That's the 2/3 of the game, right?
Right. And that's bad. But it seems that now in the future, now they've learned from that and they're moving forward. Yes. That's what I mean. And that's why I said they apologized. They felt shame. They developed a great game, which was A Realm Reborn. And, but yeah, it's just like, I like the way they're doing things in Japan, and I like the way they're developing games in Japan. And, yeah, I just couldn't be happier with kind of their philosophies upon creating like a fun, complete game. And it seems like they're kind of moving forward into the way things have been in the past, because for the past 10 years it's all been about live service and creating unfinished games, and
that's where the money was, right? Like, everyone, the problem is so many games come in late chasing the dragon, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the unfortunate with Rumbleverse. I never played it myself, but I know a lot of people liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Rumbleverse came in changing like that battle royale after the ship has sailed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the battle royale games that like Apex or Fortnite or whatever had their feet firmly planted on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the rest of the wave was already over with by the time Rumbleverse hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, and I think we're kind of
live service is very much like the same thing. Okay, chase the dragon, chase it. That's the new hot thing. Blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And like, looks like Suicide Squad debuted as like, oh, it's the next live service game. And everyone's just like, we're done with live service. We do not want it. Now they delayed the game till next year or something, and it looks like they're going to patch live service out of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's
the only live service if FGC ever needed is make sure we have matchmaking. Tell us a lot of skins. If you want the skins.
That's true.
It's microtransactions that people don't fight. They welcome it, open arms.
Yeah, and that was a huge gripe with MK11. Was all the gears and everything. A lot of people want to go back to like the crypt, to where you were.
I spent so much time in the towers trying to get that one fucking Shao Kahn skin I wanted. I just had to wait. You just couldn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Every day I would wake up, check the towers. I'm like, okay, is there anything here? And I remember like one day, like 3 months into the game, like finally, Master of the Lower Mines or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That was like the Shao Kahn 2 look, or MK2 Shao Kahn look.
Yeah, and
the right color, because I had like the yellow and the blue version, but I didn't want the yellow and the blue version.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I wasted so much of my life on that stupid stuff. Like, I wasn't happy with it.
Yeah,
and there was also a sickness. Like, I need every skin. Am I ever going to play Sonya? No, but I need to get every Sonya skin. Well, I spend like 2 hours every day just grinding towers when I could have been doing anything else with my life.
Yeah, but you're a completionist, so of course you're gonna like want to.
Yeah, I don't want to be, but there's the sickness. Like, I don't have the skin. I need the skin. Like,
yeah, that was a big riot. That's a huge complaint with a lot of people, is the multiverses and the towers of time, and how it's like, oh, if I wanted this skin in this specific color, it's just like, oh, it's going to be open for an hour. It's like, make sure you're online at that time. Yeah, exactly, yeah. I hated that, and I didn't like
whatever
that.
The thing was with the Comet, That got figured out.
Mm-hmm.
I remember scheduling my day around being able to like get the comet.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't even remember what I don't even remember what it unlocked anymore. But
Mm-hmm.
I needed to be on. I need to be ready. Like I gotta walk the dog. Everything needs to be done. The video has to be uploaded for the day. I gotta get to the comet.
Yeah.
Like, ugh, don't want to do that again.
No.
MK12.
No, I would be happy, and I would like for them to bring back in the way that the crypto, and I like how the way the crypto is designed. I just didn't like the randomization of the prizes that were bestowed within
Yeah,
the
and it should
chests.
be fixed.
It should be
It should be
fixed.
if I do this puzzle
Mhm.
here in the Nether Grove, I know
Mhm.
exactly what I'm getting.
Yeah, and I like live services and the idea of skins and costumes. You know, kind of like you said, and I kind of hope that they do. You know, similar things in all the different, you know, in MK12, Tekken 8, and Street Fighter 6, particularly Street Fighter 6. And I like the way that they do it too, because you can actually like save up, you know, in-game currency. At least they did in Street Fighter 5. You know, you can save up with in-game currency, but it's like, you know, if you really wanted this skin, you can, you know, pay $5 for it, and here you go. You know,
It's really
and
yeah, like
yeah.
the MK11, I would not have been opposed to like a $5 tax. Hey, you want to skip the
Mhm.
line here? You just want this skin? I'll give you $5. I'd rather do that than like 10 hours of grinding.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, is that predatory? Maybe. Let other people argue that.
I would only say it's predatory if what you need to actually play the actual game in its in its entirety, or even like, you know, you can play 2/3 of this game that you paid $60 for, but in order for you to unlock the other 1/3 of the game that should have been available because you paid $60 for a game, you have to pay another $5 or $10. That's predatory. I would argue that one. But for you, you know, a
I mean,
lot of people,
I just want the color I want. Like,
right?
back in the Street Fighter 4 days,
Mm-hmm.
friend had Street Fighter 4 and the 360. I was on an issue, but I
Mm-hmm.
still had to bring my hard drive because I had my costume. He didn't want to buy the DLC, and I can't play without my costume and my color because I would lose my
Yeah.
shit. Like that was just
Mm-hmm.
how it was. So like, I'm the person at risk for that kind of stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I understand maybe most people aren't, but for me, I need my color, I need my skin, I need my costume, and like I will lose sleep over not having it.
No, and I'm the same. Like, I'm kind of the same way. It's like with a lot of more so with like characters. Like, if I don't like a way a character looks, I don't want to play that character. You know, I know.
Same thing. I can't play a character I don't like the look of.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like Mortal Kombat, they're kind of they try to appeal to absolutely everybody, but they're also being simultaneously, it's like this is the way we're doing things. Like, they do things the way they want to do that. They, you know, but you know, they try to
There's a
do.
lot of money in guest characters outside of horror. That's what MK wants to do.
Yeah. Ed Boon, no, you're right, 100%. Because I can tell you right now, like when I saw Rambo, I was over the top excited that they included Rambo. But it seems that Ed Boon wants to do horror again. That's what it's by his Twitter post. It seems that that's what he wants to do.
And like
Yeah.
a lot of the other thing is Ed Boon's vision.
Yeah. I mean, technically, it is kind of a horror fighter. I mean,
Yeah, like hyper violence, dark, gritty, all that.
yeah. I mean, I would call it like.
That's the one thing I
horror.
would like for like going back to Mortal Kombat 12 talk.
Mm-hmm.
Aesthetically, I would like it to return a bit to the Mortal Kombat 1 era of still keep the dark grim crap, all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But give me a few stages that are more like classical kung fu.
I agree, and a
No?
lot of people agree with you as well. The Asian mysticism, I want that back,
Such a big part of
100%.
the flavor. And like even
Mm-hmm.
Mortal Kombat 2, even though it's all in Outworld, they were still there. Like
Mm-hmm.
the Sky Temple with the priests and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We still had the arena, so there's still a martial flavor there.
Mm-hmm.
Like just don't not everything has to be super like one thing I don't like about modern NRS games is most of the stages, 9 out of every 10 stages are too dark.
Mm-hmm.
Good fighting game stage should be bright and vivid and everything is very clear to see,
Yeah.
both a player and a spectator perspective.
Yeah. And in the 3D era, that's exactly kind of how it was. I mean, yeah, you had your stages like the Nether Realm, and you had the Chaos Realm, which were like kind of darker and grittier and everything like
And
that.
don't
But
get rid of all like just don't make that the majority. That's all I want.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, MKX, the palettes.
Don't do Sky Temple MKX. There one corner with the lightning flash literally
Mm-hmm.
made mix-ups unreactable because the screen was white for 2 frames.
Mm-hmm.
which is just don't do that. That's actually
Yeah,
bad gameplay.
I think Lin Kuei Temple was actually like banned from tournaments
Yeah.
just because of the particles. But it, like not necessarily just because it was so dark. I think it's because of the particles. But
This is
I
like
could be wrong.
there's an art to making stages. Same thing with like Street Fighter Five, Kenzuki Beach. Like, oh, it's banned because Birdie does V skill 1, and you can't see the can because it's under the waves.
Yeah, and jury's
You make
projectile as well. Yeah,
competitively for a second too.
mm-hmm.
You know, like,
but that doesn't mean take it out. I mean, like it's still a pretty cool stage.
it is, but like if you're playing Birdie, you actually have a market advantage on that stage.
Yeah, no, I understand that for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was this was fun. Do you have any last words or final thoughts you have on Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Mortal Kombat 12?
Street Fighter 6, all I can really say is looking forward to it. It's going to be maybe the busiest time of my entire life. I want to play the game from a work perspective as the YouTuber guy and the guides guy. I'm going to be down there just going nonstop because it's gonna, just from a purely mercenary perspective, need to get more numbers, more clicks, more likes, more subscribers, right? That's a good time to do it.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to be a game I'm going to be talking about for like, again, personally and professionally. I'm going to be talking about for like next 4 to 7 years. Looking forward to that.
Is that are you predominantly is that your main game, Street Fighter? Will you always revert back to Street Fighter as like the game that got you into it and started? Like, what's your?
Me, it's Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat.
Okay,
those are my that's my childhood.
Right.
Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, right? So if you make me pick in the end, like I won't even say 1 and 2. 1 and 2 are both Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, and it literally switches on the day. Number 3 is Virtua Fighter, which is further down.
I'm very similar, but and DOA, like I mean,
I love. There's not much to talk on the DOA front these days, like.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, there was a announcement, I guess, that they are working on a DOA, like a reboot.
And they tried to walk it back, but like I don't believe them.
Yeah, that's why I was like I just don't know.
There was a leaker guy who said, "Oh, they were working on a version that got canceled." Like, no, that's not true. Except the leaker guy also leaked the action adventure ninja game they're working on. That also got leaked in that same announcement 6 months before that game got announced. I'm inclined to believe that guy who got the game right too.
Yeah.
So I don't trust their PR necessarily.
Well,
but
the only reason I brought up. No, I was gonna say the only reason I brought up DOA because I was the same. Mortal Kombat was my first game that really got me into it, and Street Fighter was next. But DOA in the 2000s, particularly like 2004 through like 2007, I was like really I played a lot of DOA and everything. But like now it's kind of switched to where it's like Street Fighter and Tekken. Those are like the 2 games that I play the most. And Guilty Gear, I play a lot of Strive as well. But going back, but that's why I was asking you is because you're an official Capcom content creator. So it's like, is Street Fighter like that's your dominant game?
For work, it will be till like say Mortal Kombat 12 comes out. Then like that month's gonna be mostly Mortal Kombat 12. Whenever Tekken 8 comes out, that month will be mostly Tekken 8. The way I look at it is like Street Fighter 6. There's not many guide makers for Street Fighter in general. Like I've only made a few Street Fighter 5 guides over the years. I have multiple 100,000 view guides. Which tells me there's not a lot of guide makers for Street Fighter. If I only did a couple, and they're like side things. Mortal Kombat. I talked about like I don't think a lot of Mortal Kombat content creation is up to snuff. Look at it. Mortal Kombat 12 is Mortal Kombat needs me. I know that sounds kind of arrogant. Like there's not going to be people in that position to make the guides like I will. There you got the clickbaiters, which aren't going to do it, or the people who are more focused on gameplay. That's fine. Like focus on gameplay is perfectly fine, but that's not like guides. Tekken, I'm going to do my best. Tekken, like when you rate the 3D fighters, Tekken is like literally my least. Virtua Fighter, Dead or Alive, Soul Calibur, Tekken. I still like Tekken, right? And also Tekken YouTube is much more mature than I think most any other game. There's a lot of really good Tekken YouTubers out there. So for me, like I'll make a bunch of say beginners guides because I'm not great at Tekken. Like, am I better than average? I guess sure, but like on the grand scale, I don't consider myself great at Tekken. And like Tekken doesn't need me as much because there's so many great content creators for Tekken. I'll do my thing, but it's not gonna be the main focus.
Right.
Which
I
is
will.
like Street Fighter 6 and Mortal Kombat 12 will probably be the main focus for years.
I will say that of all the different communities, I would say that Tekken's one of my favorites, just because the community itself just feels. Whenever I'm playing Tekken with like a lot of my friends, but like whenever I watch Tekken players, it kind of more has that chilling with the bros kind of feel to it. And when you watch Tekken, when I was,
And I'm excited for Tekken 8. Like
Mhm.
said, like I like the changes. It makes it play more like Virtua Fighter, in my opinion, which is what I really like. So
right.
if we ain't getting that DF6 anytime soon,
Mhm.
I'm definitely willing to give Tekken 8 the old college try, right?
Right. But when I was watching Tekken World Tour, like I was watching the audience and everything, it's just like it just looked like good people that were there. Everybody that
Yeah,
was there.
everyone talks to in
Yeah.
the Tekken scene are all class acts.
Yeah.
Really nice people. So yeah.
Yeah. They just seem really cool. But I will say, I always say that Street Fighter, as of right now, like Street Fighter is like top of my list. That's like Street Fighter 6 is the most hype game I'm looking forward to playing. I'm thoroughly enjoying Street Fighter 5. And I go back and play Street Fighter 4 just when I want to play Decapre or maybe some Abel. But that's just like what I do. But yeah. Appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule. I know you're really, really busy as of late. So
Hopefully
much.
like the last week, man, I was averaging maybe like 3 hours of sleep a day,
Jeez, dude.
covering everything. But and last night I finally like crashed for like 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully to breathe
Yeah.
again.
Right.
We'll see. It's Tuesday now, my time. So this is the litmus test.
Mm-hmm.
Are we getting more Tekken trailers and more Street Fighter today? Or are
Yeah.
they finally resting for a bit? We'll see.
I think we're probably going to get a little bit of a break from the Tekken trailers, but you can be sure we're probably going to get some Tekken footage Street Fighter footage today. For sure. Yeah.
I don't got anything else planned for today. So there's no video today. There's no Street Fighter.
Right. Well, thanks again for your time. I really appreciate you, man. And looking forward to seeing you at Evo. Looking forward to seeing you compete. Everybody say goodbye to Monkey. And
he just woke up. So.
Yeah. And yeah, man. We'll talk soon.
You are at On My Level 2023 in Toronto or Evo in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not hard to find in a crowd. I don't look like nobody else. I'm taller than everyone else, dude, for the most part.
You can't miss those chops, man. Like,
so if you want to say hi, I'm more happy to say hi, shake hands, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the reason why I'm going. There's the see people.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I'd be perfectly happy sitting in my little cave here, right? So,
yeah, man. All right, man. We'll talk soon.
All right. Well, have a good day.
All right.
See you later.
Later.